Hi, I'm Paul Ford.
And I'm Rich Ziade.
And we are coming to you from Aboard's offices in the heart of New York City.
Did you say Aboard's offices?
Yes, and you are listening to Reqless, the podcast about how AI is changing software. And we'll explain all those things that we just discussed right after this theme song.
Reqless.
Okay, so Aboard is our company, aboard.com. Go check it out. Click try it. It's an AI-powered software builder. But then once you've messed around a little bit with the AI, humans come in and help you actually build the software. And we're doing that for our customers right now. So check it out. That's the end of the marketing portion. So, Rich, co-founder Richard. So first of all, everybody, we are in a new office. We like to connect with humans. We love the robots, but we also like the people. It's a little echoey in here. We're going to figure out our acoustics as we go, but we're going to be here for a little while.
Yep.
So good for us. Now, something interesting has happened because look, the AI conversion experience for us really started about a year ago, where we realized it didn't just draw pictures and write bad college essays and make all the pictures look kind of blurry around the edges, which was interesting that it could do it, but didn't seem valuable in the same way as some other stuff might. But then we saw it write code.
Sure.
And it wrote pretty good code. And it was funny because people had a lot of opinions about the other stuff, but very few people had opinions about the code. And we started to incorporate it into our product, and we kept finding new ways that it worked. And what's happening in this world, let's just narrow in. There's AI, by which we mean LLMs, large language models, companies like ChatGPT and Anthropic. You can tell them to write very specific kinds of code. The more granular, the better. And it'll do a pretty good job. It'll build things. It'll create data, etc. And the more specific you are, the more you kind of emulate the software development process. Sometimes when you're just really polite to the bot, the better the output. And so I started showing you this stuff, and I definitely, for me, alarm bells started to go off. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Some of the stuff that we've built in the last couple of years isn't super relevant. A lot of things that happen in the consulting industry aren't super relevant. And what I've been watching as we've been experimenting more and more, because you and I used to run an agency. An agency is a collection of processes and people, right? People first, and the people embody the processes. So I go to an agency and I say, hey, I need to build a thing that makes 3D hats and sends them on the internet as emails or whatever. And somebody says, okay, I'll write down what you said, and you tell me if it's right. Yeah, it looks right. Okay, I'm going to turn that into a high-level specification and a product requirements document. Okay, well, that looks pretty good too. Okay, well, those are nice documents. Now I'm going to turn it into a technical specification. I'm going to write all these pieces down. And the technical specification outlines what we got to build. And now I'm going to build an even more detailed plan and give it to an engineer, and they're going to build it as a prototype and blah, blah, blah. So I'm describing all these different kind of phases and artifacts. It actually turns out that what we keep learning is different parts and different phases of this process can be done with AI. It's not just the code. It's not just the document.
Sure.
And actually, if you do them in the sequence that you used to do them at the agency, you get kind of better results and more interesting results out of the AI. So you've been kind of following along with me, and you've also been very engaged, learning about it, reading about it. But I turned to you yesterday in a meeting. This is what I want to talk about. Yeah. And I said, Rich, it's come for your job. And by your job, I mean you are good at meeting people, talking to them, finding out what they want, and then really, in like a minute, telling them what it will take. Because you've been doing it for 20 years, saying, here's the platform you need to build. It's going to cost somewhere in this range, usually.
Yeah.
And it's going to take you roughly this team and this amount of time. And what I said to you, and you weren't shocked when I said it, was, and if I'd said this a year ago, you would have been totally confused. I really do think that we could get one of the large language models to do a pretty good job at everything that you used to do that was a major driver for growth for our company. And how did you react when I said that?
I sobbed.
You didn't, though.
I didn't. No. I'm fine with it. I'm excited about it. Yeah, look, I think what's fascinating here is that there's a bit of sleight of hand going on. AI is very presumptuous.
Boy, is it.
It's extremely, it's like, well, Paul, I know you haven't finished your sentence yet. I know exactly what you need. Hold on. I'll be back in a sec.
Well, because it's a statistical model that is designed to just keep going.
It just keeps going.
Just keep,
right?
Yeah, okay.
The truth is, what you rarely see from AI is it saying, all right, Paul, you're an expert in a particular industry. Tell me a little more before I really jump the gun here.
To be clear, you can prompt engineer it to do that. But yes, there's a reason, which is just like, that's not actually, it doesn't introspect. It doesn't think or make a model of you.
You went through all those artifacts that we produce before we start coding.
Yes.
Right? Why do we produce those artifacts?
To create consensus in the organization before the very, very expensive process of actually building the software started.
Exactly. I'm going to say it differently.
Well, but also, like, why does an architect design a house instead of just throwing a bunch of like bricks in a yard and saying, have a good time?
Why create a small-scale model?
Yeah.
Right? And what you're doing is you are essentially communicating back to the person to just confirm. You called it creating consensus. What you're doing is you're trying to say, I think I understand your intent, and so I'm going to show you what I think it looks like.
That's right. You are a translator. LLMs are a translator. You are a translator. A business person could come to you. I did this too. They could come to you and they could say, I have this problem. And you could translate it into not just software, but a software project. You could say 6 months, a lot of money, needs these 5 people.
But even before that, I've had conversations with people who thought they wanted software A.
Yeah. And
I was like, well, if you really look at the root of this, software A is just a Band-Aid. What you really need is software B.
Yeah.
And what that is a dialogue based on listening to them and understanding what their intent is. Very often, humans don't articulate what they actually need. In fact, a lot of times they'll sign off, and then 3 months later, they'll be like, well, wait, there's one more thing.
Look, if there's any function that we have on Earth, it was that people didn't know how to translate their needs into enterprisey kind of software.
No, and so when you're listening, what are you doing? You're translating pain points and asks and requests. Sometimes you'll hear them all out, but sometimes the asks are actually ill-advised because they're not really getting at the root thing.
Let me go back to your original point, and because there's a thought that popped in my head. People love astrology. They love their horoscopes, right?
They do.
And I honestly, if you switch out horoscopes, people tend to just be like, yeah, that's me. You could be like, you could switch Leo for Libra, and they'll be like, oh, boy, nailed me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's just humans. That's how we are. When somebody describes you, it's like, you're an empathetic person, but sometimes you can be very shy. And be like, oh, well.
Sort of threads the needle.
Oh, boy, you really nailed it. Yeah. And I feel that is actually, like, AI produces a credible product requirements document after I said I need to sell shoes online. And it's pretty good.
It's not bad.
And I go, wow, it really understood me.
Exactly.
Right. And I think that dynamic is playing out over and over again. And it's a lie we're telling ourselves.
It is a lie. Because when you really get into it, the very particular needs and motivations of an individual are not expressed in 3 sentences. They're just not. Now, look, the truth is AI is, if you're willing to put the time in and we've talked about this in the past, step through what you want. Take it phase by phase.
And translate. You're translating from one concept to the next concept.
It's better and better, right?
Right. But it is not actually trying to create consensus and understanding between individuals. It's simply extrapolating, and it's doing a database query and producing output.
Correct. But what you're doing is, by being more and more descriptive, you are narrowing the possibilities.
That's
for
right.
You're limiting the vectors, right?
So you're simulating consensus building.
You are.
Because it's about getting... What is consensus? Consensus is everyone agreeing to something specific, where before it was more broad.
I mean, if someone pitched me for a minute, I wouldn't hard sell them back. I would say, that's interesting. Why don't you come by the office? I'd love to hear more. Like, right. I don't have enough information.
That's right.
To really make I don't understand you yet. I have not internalized your needs yet.
By the time I've made 5 or 6 little deliverables translated in my little mini virtual agency that I'm building inside a chat, I now have created enough to simulate that kind of specificity.
Yes.
So it's accelerated. I can accelerate the fake consensus building that AI lets me do.
You absolutely can.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of anxiety out there about what this thing is going to do to different professions and skills and whatnot, right? And the truth is, I think as long as we keep in mind that humans really connect and really differentiate when another human internalizes their needs and desires, and that could be anything. That could literally be a doctor hearing you out and telling you, you think it's that, but it's actually just this, and just do these things and you'll be better.
Yeah.
Versus a printout saying that.
It's real.
That's a big difference. There's a big difference.
It's real.
There, right?
There's utility in these tools. I mean, I think what is tricky, there are sections of the economy, like, remember Fiverr?
Yeah, you could ask somebody to do anything.
It'd be like, do me a voiceover.
Yeah.
Right? I feel that things like that, where you had fully commoditized human beings, and they're like, okay, put money in the coin slot, and I will give you your thing back. You type in the box, and I will say those words. It's going to, like, that is vulnerable. If humans were already, like, pre-commoditized by the system, there is probably not, and the fantasy of those systems was like, all right, Mechanical Turk, everybody will get it. You don't hear about Mechanical Turk anymore.
No.
But everybody will get in there and they'll do like $1 worth of work, but that'll be really meaningful in certain countries. And blah, blah, blah. That's gone.
Yeah.
It is just because honestly, you can't tell who's on the other side. Most likely what will happen is, like, if you ask somebody to do the voiceover for you, there's a very high chance they've got their voice cloned.
Yeah, they're probably punching it in.
They easily could, right?
Yeah.
Like, and frankly,
they don't own a microphone.
you'd never know. And so there's a minute maybe where they could do that, but then the next minute somebody goes, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and the truth is that was on a path anyway before AI.
It was always
the commoditization of certain deliverables and skills was on a path anyway, right?
We knew it was bad, and we knew the margins were always going to get tighter and that people were going to get more and more vulnerable. It is a pretty big tidal wave for a chunk of the world. That's real.
That is happening.
Yeah,
there's no way around that. And so what can I do? Let's actually be the Fiverr person.
Okay. I'll be a Fiverr voiceover guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me post on Fiverr.
Okay.
For $20, you give me a script, and I will read it back in a masculine voice.
Sounds promising.
With enthusiasm, and I'll put emotion in it.
Great.
Okay?
Okay, good.
Nice. Okay. That's getting replaced. You can punch it into a machine.
Well, I mean, Google Gemini can do a podcast based on like a 2-sentence prompt.
Exactly. Now, let me pitch something different, right? Which is looking for ideas and personality to really elevate your product. I'll help you write the script, and we'll have a conversation about what's really going to reach your audience.
The reality is, if you pitch that to me and you charge me for it, but you tell me that AI is going to read it, but I'll get my choice of voices, I'll probably lean in. Like, that's worth $20-$30.
What I did there was I specialized my offering, right?
Well, you actually, no, what's funny, though, is you defined the process and said, I will do more of the process.
I will do more of the process, but also I'll be your collaboration partner and whatnot.
You generalized, but you generalized in a way that is headed towards a more market-savvy outcome.
It's something I used to call the entry point at the agency.
Okay.
There's an entry point where it's like, I know I have the blueprint.
Every now and then you say something where it's like, I used to call it the entry point. I'm like, wait, the point of entry? You came up with that?
No, not the entry point.
I know. Just helping the listeners.
Sometimes somebody will come to the agency like, I know exactly what I want, and I'm looking for bidders.
That's right.
It's very hard for me to compete with that.
They'll send you literally an RFP, a request for proposals, and 10 people are writing proposals. And the person who secretly wrote the RFP and gave it to them is the one who's going to get it.
There's that.
Yeah.
That's true. And they're probably going to lowball, right? They're going to pay the least amount because they don't see a difference in the delivery capabilities.
That's right.
Versus a different entry point, which is like, I have a problem. Can you help me solve it? Meaning there is ambiguity there. That ambiguity means you and I have to have a dialogue about what you really need. Now, look, can I start a prompt with, I have a problem? You could. This is actually could, and it might get you somewhere, but that's very different than essentially the commoditized delivery of a thing that you've already specified, which computers are going to do. Like, hard stop. That RFP is going to get fed into a computer one day.
Yeah, this is real. Everything's going to get analyzed and turned into a table and reviewed, and the decks will get made automatically, et cetera, et cetera. So the thing that you do, okay, let's go back to the one specific thing you do, and then you tell me how it's going to go in the future. Because what it used to be is like, Rich, I heard from a friend that you have a good agency, you got that weird co-founder, and I sell over 5 million bushels of wheat a year from my giant wheat business, and I need a way to manage where all that wheat is and who the buyers are. And I need a system to do that. And you would have a conversation, and you would be able to very quickly, way before Accenture could even respond to the email, you'd be like, here's what we're going to do, and I can do this for you. And you would be pretty accurate most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was where we were. And now I could type in, I need it to do this thing, and it would give me a really nice bullet point list with more detail than you'd usually provide in that meeting. So now what? What are you going to do? What's your value?
Well, first off, I mean, that's a great question. First off, this thing that I viewed as the enemy, as a threat,
Yeah.
I'm bringing it into my toolbox.
Okay.
Hey, you want the bushel of wheat management system? I'm going to get that for you. And guess what? I'm going to get it for you a lot cheaper because I've got tools now that are AI powered that are going to get it to you way cheaper.
Okay.
But we still need to talk.
Okay.
I still need to understand how your business works. I need context. And
I mean, the thing is, it's not, if I'm talking millions of bushels of wheat, no problem. We do have to talk.
we have to talk.
Yeah.
We have to talk. Also, I
It's a
think
lot of wheat.
let's be realistic about humans and risk. If I've got tens of millions of dollars running through a system, I'm not going to type a few prompts in, spin up another system, and funnel those tens of millions of dollars through some new system.
Hold on a minute. Let me blow that up for 1 sec. What if I already had, SAP ERP wheat tracker, and I had a prompt-based software builder that would let me do some new nifty thing? Do you think I would do it then?
Wait, are you getting rid of SAP?
No, I've already got. It's on top of SAP. SAP provides me with a software builder. Maybe, yeah. I mean,
are you going to write a few prompts and then allow it to shave off 11 cents off of every transaction? It's a scary world, right?
I think the reality is Joe isn't going to get to do that. The entire IT infrastructure that manages the giant SAP deployment for the wheat people is going to be able to say, hey, if we did these 3 things quickly, we might be able to save a penny here and there.
Dude, IT's been fleecing business for 50 years.
They love when you say that.
I think if we can now tell them 50% off, not 95% off, that's cool.
I swear to God.
Let's take it one step at a time.
We're ready to have armed revolution for people who do pencil sketches, and that the AI can now do the pencil sketches. And there are 18 trillion IT consultants, there actually are 20 million, who are a little bit on the block here. I haven't seen a tear.
No.
No one is.
Also,
no one's upset about Mike and IT.
They'll morph into something else. Don't worry about them.
It's true.
I wouldn't worry about them.
Somehow the software still won't ship.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone is coming out and saying, "Oh my God, my costs are about to go down 90% because computers can do it." No one's saying that. How about we actually show value by folding in these accelerants essentially, and be smart about being the dialogue so that you don't go too crazy. Look, it's funny when it screws up on a prompt.
Yeah.
It's not funny if millions of dollars got redirected the wrong way.
Yeah, or the x-ray machine just keeps shooting x-rays into your lungs. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The reason I did this for the podcast is I literally looked at you. I said, that's it for your job, because we were getting to this point in the conversation about how this technology is changing our industry inside the company.
Yeah.
And I just thought that so I think that this is okay. Yes.
Radiology.
Yeah.
It's probably going to do a phenomenal job at some point.
Oh, it's already doing a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
And then the radiologist, it talks to the radiologist.
I think that's really key. And I think as humans, I'd prefer to go that way.
For quite a long time, yes.
For quite a long time.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet, right? It's a fascinating world to navigate through right now. I think when you embrace the threat and understand how it can empower you and how you can level up because of it, I think that's what it's about. Look, many won't, and they'll just be angry. Okay, good luck.
We've been there before. I do need you to reapply for your job.
Totally fair.
That's fine. CEO, but...
Hey, let me tell you a little bit about myself.
Yeah. You're going to be enhanced... You're enhanced CEO.
Yeah.
All right, Fred.
All
So that is a way to look at this. It is. I'm seeing my stuff that what it can't do right now. It can outline things pretty well, but it just can't do the writing. It can't do the jazz hands when I'm writing something and I'm putting a little spin on it. It just doesn't have any of that in it.
Yeah. It's
because it's a lot of little tiny decisions made at the sentence level.
Yeah,
and they actually, what happens is you get the product. I mean, I guess I should experiment. I should go back and be like, okay, make this more fun or something. Just but the iterative process of editing, it doesn't seem to have captured yet.
Oh, well, it's drunk.
Yeah. Well, it's a database.
It's smart and drunk.
The data.
I once asked it, give me ideas for a Lebanese restaurant name, and for some reason it pivoted on banana.
Really?
And it just kept going Banana Rama Shack. And it was just well, how did we end up here? And it's we ended up here because one of the vectors went left instead of right. And we are.
That is real. The dice keep rolling. All right, so here we are in the middle of this world. It is a puzzling world. But even, the CEOs now, even the CEOs got to start looking out.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
There we are.
And so you're going to have to figure out what your real value is, Rich, and you're just like, my value is I'll just talk to the guy.
It's an exciting and humbling moment. I think we do want to talk to each other. I think we've been holed up for too long. That's a separate thing. I think we like to connect. Humans like to connect.
I think that maybe, humans exist in culture where actually economic being second.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we keep going back to that, right? The
Yeah.
restaurants are packed everywhere.
Boy, are they. People just want to eat.
Check us out at aboard.com. We have a tool that lets you sort of take a little sampling. It's like a little...
That's right. You just give us a minute to see what we're doing with these tools, and then once you've taken that minute, get in touch, give us like a little more time, and boy, we can solve your problem for you.
Hit us up, aboard.com. Have a wonderful week, and reach out. If you have podcast topic ideas, let us know.
hello@aboard.com. That's an email address.
It sure is.
Bye.
Reqless.